What's good, everybody? It's your boy Toxie Boyo bringing you another movie review. Today, we're going to be talking about the hotly contested Captain America Brave New World. Now, this movie has been the topic of a lot of conversation for reasons other than the merit of the film itself. I've done a video about that. I might toss it into the description or at the end screen, but I don't want to talk too much about that. I'd rather just, now that we're here, now that I've seen the movie, talk about the movie itself. Was it good? Does it live up to the legacy of the previous MCU movies, or the previous Captain America movies? Is Sam Wilson a good Captain America? Does the Red Hulk work? Is this movie enjoyable? Let's talk about all of that. I would like to address the elephant in the room as quickly as possible. The fact that, the main antagonistic force appears to be the Red Hulk. And that we all have known for a while that a certain somebody also from the Incredible Hulk is in this movie, and it comes across as something that should be a Hulk movie. And as much as I would like to sit here and tell you that, like, the movie does enough to not make you feel like that, or to make you not miss the Hulk in this movie, that's just not true. This movie, in a lot of ways, is a spiritual successor to The Incredible Hulk, which is nice to see so much of what happened in that movie come back and be relevant again, but it also kind of sucks because a lot of Hulk fans, myself included, would just like to see another movie about the character. It just kind of feels like table scraps from that movie are being cleaned up, or loose ends from that movie in particular are being cleaned up in a movie that belongs to a different character. I'm someone that is a big believer in characters fighting, or superheroes fighting their actual villains in movies. So I don't love, Ghost and Taskmaster, who are Iron Man villains, being in Ant-Man and Black Widow. You know what I mean? So I don't love Captain America fighting non-Captain America villains in this movie, but it works for the story being told. The particular story regarding Sam Wilson and Thunderbolt Ross works for me. It's interesting because of the timing of the movie. It seems like it's going to be like a political thriller that makes like social commentary or something like that. That's not what it is. A lot of the social commentary aspect of Sam Wilson as Captain America was touched on in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, and it doesn't really need to come up again here. I think that a lot of people will tell you that this movie kind of follows in similar footsteps to The Winter Soldier, and a little bit of Civil War, as in being like a political espionage thriller, and I would agree with that. I think it borrows a lot of its elements and themes from The Winter Soldier in particular. It doesn't quite match up to that, though. It doesn't quite hit that same mark as that movie, because that's still my favorite MCU movie. But this one is still pretty damn good. Like, the mystery is interesting. I think it, would keep your attention pretty well start to finish. The only thing is that, like, the twist in regards to the main mystery around, like, why a certain person just took a shot at the president is kind of spoiled by knowing beforehand who's in the movie. I didn't read any leaks or anything. I just knew that a certain character from a previous movie was in this one, so I knew who was behind it. I'm not going to say too much about who that was, because I do want you to be able to go into the movie mostly blind. I'm just here to tell you what works and what doesn't. As far as what works, Sam Wilson is Captain America. I think he's really entertaining and really interesting to watch. I love that he just kind of slips into the role. Like, the movie doesn't, like, waste any time trying to convince you or trying to prove to you that that Sam Wilson is Captain America. He's just called Cap by everybody, by civilians, by the president, by his team, by the military. They just look at this guy and they respect that he is Captain America. I love that. The movie doesn't tiptoe around it. It doesn't, like, ask you permission to call him Captain America. It's just like, boom, this is what he is. You're here to watch a Captain America movie. This is Captain America now. Get over it. I really appreciate that approach. A lot of that groundwork was already laid in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series. I really like the way that he fights. I've always liked how Falcon fights, and as Captain America, it's even more satisfying watching him fight with the wings and with the shield, and watching him do all these flips and all these kicks and stuff like that. I really like characters that kick, and he does a lot of kicking, so I was really entertained by just about every fight scene. He spends a good amount of time not in the Captain America suit, which is, I believe, almost entirely made out of vibranium, which kind of compensates for him not having super soldier serum. But it's kind of there to show you that, like, even just as regular Sam Wilson, he can still kick ass and get the job done. My favorite things about the Captain America movies pretty much all come down to watching Captain America kick ass, and also watching him stand his ground and fight for what he believes is right. And that's all present here. In a lot of ways, Sam conducts himself the same way that Steve does. Sam is steadfast in his beliefs. You know, he believes in the goodness of other people. He won't go back on his word. He doesn't betray his friends. All of that is, you know, consistent with character traits from the previous Captain America. I really appreciate that. The movie doesn't spend too much time trying to compare Sam and Steve because that's not necessary. So all of that's greatly appreciated. There's a surprise cameo that's actually really nice. The humor, because, you know, MCU humor is, you know, done to death at this point. I don't find all of the jokes in this movie to be very funny. So there's two different types of jokes in this movie. There's like the MCU quippy bits where like something happens, then it's like time for a one-liner. I don't really like those. I've gotten sick of those. But there's also like diegetic humor where like Isaiah, Joaquin, and Sam are all like hanging out together, trading jokes back and forth like regular people. Those are the jokes that are funny. Like the characters in this movie actually being real people. And that's another thing that I really appreciate about Sam Wilson as Captain America. A lot of times Steve would feel a little larger than life. He would feel like this perfect, like, godly type of human being that was portrayed as someone who never made any mistakes, even though he very clearly did. And this movie touches on that. But Sam is imperfect in a lot of ways. He's a flawed person who's just trying to do his best, and that's why he was picked to be Captain America, because he is someone that will always, no matter what, try his best and never give up. All of that is perfect. It works for me. I was really entertained by the movie. Harrison Ford was a standout here. He's gotten to that age, right, where it's like an actor who's in his 80s, you would expect to just kind of like sleepwalk through his project. But I mean, between this and Blade Runner 2049 and Indiana Jones 5 and even Star Wars 7 and 9, he's still bringing it. Like, he's not there simply to collect a paycheck. Harrison Ford is still an actor, and man, he brings it. The way that they portray Ross in this movie is like shockingly nuanced, because I've never really considered Ross to be a very deep or multi-layered or complex character in any particular way. Even as a Hulk fan, you know, I'm very familiar with the character, but I've never really seen him as anything deeper than surface level. But this movie does that. This movie gives you a side to Ross that you would never expect. And a lot of that, I want to say, the marketing of this movie does not particularly do it justice. It sets the whole thing up to be like Captain America's taking on the president, when that's not really what this movie is about. Without getting into spoilers, Sam and Ross are mostly on the same side in this movie, and that's interesting to see. There's elements of like not being defined by your past and trying to own up to your mistakes, to take accountability for what you've done and make things right, that I really appreciate, because it kind of echoes Sam's character arc in a way as well. Having something to prove to people that only see you in one way or for one thing. And it's a really enjoyable character arc that's mirrored in, you know, the main protagonist, and who is perceived to be the main antagonist. I won't really get into who the main antagonist really is, but it's not Ross. It's just they kind of had to market the movie that way, because if they did go with whoever the main villain is, probably wouldn't have generated a whole lot of interest. Now, as far as like Red Hulk being on screen doing Hulk shit, he looks good. He's entertaining as hell to watch on screen. I don't really have any complaints. It's just I wish he would have been in it a little bit more, but that's because of the trailers and the posters. They make it seem like he's going to be in the movie for a really long time, or at least like for a significant portion of time, but that's just not really the case. But yeah, I loved... Another thing is the trailers and the clips that I saw of this movie before release kind of made it look like it was just going to be like a flat, bland, generic type of MCU movie, like an Ant-Man type, where nothing really, like, where there's not really any personality in like the camera work or the editing. That's not true. That's not the case here. It's actually very well shot and well edited, very well directed. I like the music. I just really enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I would have. I was not really interested in it at first. But I kind of got interested mostly out of spite. But then I heard Anthony Mackie talk about the character and what Captain America represents and what he actually means to people within the context of Marvel. And it seems to me like Sam Wilson, like Anthony Mackie perfectly understands Captain America. And I really appreciate that because I'm a big Captain America fan. I've always liked him. And so I kind of went into this movie with low expectations, but I would say that they blew my expectations out of the water. It's not a perfect movie. I wouldn't even say that it's great, but I would say that it's pretty damn good. I would say that I like this one just about as much as the first Avenger. I'm very optimistic about the future of Sam Wilson as Captain America. The movie looks like it's doing pretty well so far. Hopefully, you know, good word of mouth. It doesn't have a great Rotten Tomato score right now, but hopefully, you know, positive word of mouth, people go see this movie. Because I'm looking forward to the next Avengers movie if Sam Wilson as Captain America will be at the forefront of that film. I would like to see him lead the Avengers. That's like the only aspect of Captain America that you know, remains to be seen with Sam Wilson. And, you know, with legacy characters like this, like Spider-Man, Green Lantern, The Flash, Ghost Rider, Robin, usually you have your favorite, right? Maybe you like Miles and Danny Ketch and Wally West and Kyle Rayner. Me, between Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson, I feel like I like them equally. Like, I was really blown away at how good Sam Wilson is as Captain America. He's also just so entertaining to watch. Like, he uses all of his tools so creatively, and he kind of has to because he is just a regular guy, right? And there's just something satisfying about that too. Watching him kind of like take some licks that, you know, Steve Rogers probably wouldn't. Because Sam is just a soldier, whereas Steve Rogers is a super soldier, but that doesn't make him any less Captain America. And I just had a really good time with this movie. If I was going to put this thing on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it maybe an 8. To be honest, I really enjoyed this movie. So I guess maybe I do consider it great, but I plan on buying this movie on Blu-ray as soon as it's available. If you guys have seen Captain America Brave New World, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Do you like Sam Wilson as Captain America? Are you excited to see more Red Hulk in the future? What are you looking forward to from this version of the character? What do you like? What do you dislike? Let me know in the comments. While you're down there, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you soon.